Who's opening the show?
Rahul.
Is Rahul doing? Okay. So the the video, he's going to schedule it, or like who? Yeah. We're up.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to BRATS Talks. This is the first part of the 8th edition of BRATS Talks. BRATS Talks is a dynamic digital platform where people from various domains come and share their thoughts and opinions on different relevant topics. As you guys know, the trend of online education is changing rapidly, and we students may not be able to adapt to them at the same rate. So, today we have educators from various institutions, and they will be discussing how students can maximize their learning from Edtech. Our moderator for the evening is Urvi Vira, our navigator at BRATS. She has done her MBA in marketing with nearly 14 years of experience in retail management, marketing, data analysis, web based advertising, brand strategy, and communication. She's a versatile thinker, also skilled in strategic communication management, possesses sharp planning skills to manage business operations. Our first panelist for the evening is Dr. Sandeep Bhardwaj, who is a teaching faculty and IC director at VES Business School. He has the right mix of industry and academic experience, having worked in various managerial positions in corporate for more than 17 years and in academics for more than 15 years. His area of specialization is marketing. Our next panelist is Dr. Debraj Ghosal. He has an experience of over 21 years, out of which he spent 13 years in corporates like Tata Group, Reliance, Mahindra and Mahindra. He spent last 8 years in academic teaching, researching in international business and strategy area. He is now a full-time faculty at SP Jain Institute of Management and Research in Mumbai and a past visiting professor at IIM Bangalore. He is also the co-chairperson for international relations at SPJIMR. Our next panelist is Dr. Brajesh Bolia, who has completed his PhD at NEET, UGC from NET, and MBA in Marketing, BE in Civil Engineering. He is currently Assistant Professor in Marketing Department in KJ Somaya Institute of Management, Mumbai. He has done a lot of corporate training, delivered over 170 hours of training sessions to over 1100 participants of various categories like business center heads, branch managers, senior managers, etc. in various companies like National Insurance Co Limited, GIC, ECGC, etc. Our finally, our last panelist is Dr. Nupur Gupta, who is a passionate academician and researcher with doctorate in business management in finance from BIT Mesra. Currently, she is working with NMIMS University, Navi Mumbai, as assistant professor in finance. In a career span of 16 years, she has worked with academia for 13 years, including teaching at Frankfurt School of Finance and Management in Germany. She is currently visiting professor at KJ Somaya Institute of Management and Research, and she is at Vivekanand Education Society Institute of Management as core faculty. With this, I would like to welcome all the panelists and over to you, Urvi ma'am. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, Rahul. Thank you for this illustrious introduction. I have worked with Vivekanand and KJ Sumaya before, and I'm not a visiting faculty there. I'm a core faculty with NMIMS University, Navi Mumbai. Thank you.
Sorry, ma'am.
Not a problem. Not.
Thank you, Rahul, for such a wonderful introductions of us. But before we move on to our talk, I would like to share with you what BRATS is all about. So, probably a minute and then we are into our BRATS talk. So can we have a video, please?
Yes, ma'am. Should I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
India is the largest demographic education hub. Still, there are about 4 lakhs of students going abroad for higher education year on year. But one side, if I'm seeing, a lot of Indians are actually leading global corporates. That's the beauty of Indian talent, which needs to be pulled out. BRATS. Now, BRATS, what is BRATS? Everybody's hearing, you need to know what is BRATS. BRATS is Brands, Research, Advertising, Technology, and Strategies. What we are actually trying to do out here. So our last 3 years research developed this platform to connect industry and institutions. What are platforms we actually need to connect? We want you to get ready for the industry while you're in the institute itself. You are thoroughly going through your curriculums, but there are a lot of real-time experiences, case studies, live projects, courses maybe, and that has to be enrolled into your internships, otherwise recruitments. That's what we are here to bring out through your BRATS. My name is Suresh Kumar Kurapati and I'm the captain for BRATS. We already have about 1,000 plus students associated with us and a lot of students actually helping us to grow within the campuses, being our campus ambassadors. That's what we look forward to, and I welcome you all, and let's grow together. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Ma'am, you are on mute.
Thank you, Priyanshi, for sharing this wonderful video. Since this video is almost a month old, just to give some correction numbers, we already have students, close to 7,500 plus students associated with this now. We have around close to 13 to 15 BRATS college ambassadors with us. So moving on to today's topic, today we are going to talk about maximizing students learning through Edtech, and I have this wonderful experienced panelists with me. They are the faculties, and this couldn't have been more better than understanding how this entire maximizing thing of Edtech, and now we all are under this lockdown, how this thing is working. So let me just begin our session. I'm just sorry. So let's move on to our session. So, and I would like to understand from our panelists, how this entire online thing, which is working right now. We all are under this lockdown. So what do you feel? How are you coping up this entire new normal, which is about online learning? So starting with Dr. Sandeep.
All right, thanks, Urvi. Okay, so this looks like the new normal, and we have been talking about this for a very, very long time now. But frankly, my views on this is that this was bound to happen. Okay, it was just waiting to happen. Everything went digital, all right. So I have this theory about who killed the secretary, all right. So in the 80s, there used to be a secretary. Okay, it was Lily, Rosie, Mary. Okay, wearing shorts and in her hand. And she would bounce around and take notes. And suddenly came technology and wiped out the secretary. Then came who was the next on the list? So the tech was a serial killer actually. So next was the travel agent, the retail store, the kirana wala, so on and so forth. Okay, so the tech is one kill after another, and education was waiting to happen, and it would have happened in 5 to 10 years, yes, but the so-called lockdown or the COVID crisis has brought it, accelerated it to the point today that we have to now quickly adapt to what we were actually ending up doing this. So yes, it has happened. We are transforming, and we have to transform very soon. Coping up is on both sides, faculty as well as teachers, and we are, as faculties, we are trying our best, and my all good wishes to the students who are now coping up with it.
Wow, Dr. Sandeep has given us a new meaning, like, this is bound to happen probably in next few years, but since thanks to the lockdown, we all are trying to cope up with this. So Dr. Nupur, what would you like to add on to this whole thing?
I would like to add, moving on to this online teaching is something which is not very new. In most international universities, they actually follow something called as a blended learning platform. Blended learning means it would have about some percentage of face-to-face classrooms, as well as parts which can be done without a face-to-face interaction with students that are actually taught online. So in the Western universities, and also in other Southeast Asian universities, this online learning or a blended learning has been going on for the past 7 to 8 years. And when we were struck with this online learning because of the COVID, for us it was a total full swing, not even a blended learning. We were into a total online, 100% online learning. Yes, it was initially very difficult, not just for the students, even for the faculty, because it was something very new for us. But I think over the number of these 2 months, 3 months, we have somehow both evolved. The student fraternity and the faculty fraternity both have evolved, and we have accepted and making use of this online technology, Edtech, to maximize learnings for our students.
Wow. So, I like that one point in a sense, what you just highlighted, saying that, yes, we have evolved to the whole thing, the edtech thing and all. So I have one more thing added to that, which I will come back to you in later. But in before that, let me just, understand what Dr. Bridges' perspective is all about.
Okay. Well, before I tell the perspective, I was thinking about BRATS. I think this is also you can say the energization or the outcome or something which is induced by this online, and we got this opportunity to connect with industry and institute, right? And BRATS ko sunte aisa lagta hai ready for the new challenge, right? Of course, this online teaching is a new challenge. Something which I'll say blessing in disguise, right? Yes, there are problems, there are huge problems, but then it has given a new hope that why we stick to the old traditional methods, why don't we switch, forced us to adapt something new. I'll use one word, the technology enemy faculties. I'll say they were never ready to accept this new. I'll tell you my experience that Google Classroom, we have been trying to push for years, and suddenly all these technology enemy faculty, I'll say, are using Google Classroom so easily, right? They are doing it yourself, like DIY. They all are on. So with a session 1 or 2. So I think it's a blessing in disguise. A lot of things are in store. Blended learning, which will be a outcome when we come out of COVID, and I think it will be much more beautiful and more, I'll say, robust learning mechanisms we will come out with this COVID when it's over, and with this learning which we are doing right now. I would like to say that.
Wow. So for Dr. Bridges, this was like a blessing in disguise, which, somewhere somewhere made every one of us to accept the new thing, and we all are working towards it. So let me understand Dr. Debraj's perspective as well on the same.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. So if you look at online teaching, so, we started, right after the lockdown within 2 days. So one day we had a training between the professors. So two of our professors were more conversant. So they taught everybody else, what to do. And from the third day we started. Yeah. And over these 4 or 5 months, I have taught about 70, 80 sessions. And each time, we keep on improving, what to do. So I can think of three things. What has changed in the content? When we teach online, we cannot cover the same amount of content in the same time. So we have to be a little less ambitious in terms of what we cover. Again, we have to mix with a lot of activities, because in the classroom, we see the body language, we see the vibrancy of the class, but here we are all online. So you have to mix with a lot of activities, do some polls, do some breakout rooms, show some videos, so the interactivity is very important. Then in terms of technology, so students are very, young people, and they are, more technology savvy. We professors sometimes are not so much. We have to be conversant with, what's there in Zoom, what's there in the different technologies, also backups. So always keep 2 devices on, and sometimes, there will be cutoff. So don't panic, all of those things, you will learn as we move around. And then also adapting the style. So each of our professors have our own style of teaching. So there is no typical, blackboard. So how do we, use it? So maybe you can type on the PPT, PowerPoint itself. Again, you have to be more compassionate. So in the class, if somebody is, making some noise or something, so I have a batch, where these are all women who have taken a career break and then they come back to learn. So sometimes, they have a small child. So the child comes and, sits in the class. So in the normal class, I would get angry, hey, why somebody has come, but now I have to, make it a fun. So we have a, youngster, the youngest, MBA, and take it forward. So we have to be compassionate with our students, because they're also struggling, especially if you're in Bombay, you have a small room, your children are studying in some other room, so we have to be, a little more compassionate, although we don't compromise with the quality and the rigor, but we have to, sort of also put ourselves in the shoes of the students and think of, what's happening. And the last thing, from an institutional perspective, it's about, normally we would have, 6-7 hours of classes. But now we have, reduced to only, 3 or 4 classes in a day, because students also cannot take so much of screen time. So those are some of the changes I can think of. So thank you very much.
Wow, I mean, this is completely a new perspective in terms of what Dr. Debraj just said. Like, probably in the traditional classroom, we wouldn't have allowed anybody else. But here, understanding student and, teacher relationship, in the sense, what they are also going through in the back end, and, maximizing both the things. So, wow, that's nice. So moving on, I would like to also understand one thing, since this is a new learning and we all are, trying to adapt these things. So what do you feel, the absence of human in teaching, in the sense, no traditional thing, will this affect us, or are we going to be more tech savvy, in that way? So since Dr. Nupur has mentioned something in her last thing, I would like to begin with her for this.
Yeah, hi, Urvi. Thank you for this question. See, at the end of the day, whether we are teaching online or whether we are having a face-to-face kind of a learning, we faculty always keep something in mind about mapping the learning outcomes to what is the objective of the course. So the learning objectives and the learning outcomes have to be mapped. Now, technology obviously is the need of the hour because of COVID, but even when we use technology in our classroom, I feel we don't go overboard and try and use all different kinds of technology, because it is just available as open sources or even as institutional support. So even we faculty use a kind of a judgment as to what kind of technology would actually cater to the learning outcome of a particular subject. So all in all, I would say yes, the human interface actually is obviously missing, which we just can't help it. But somehow, with the use of various kind of forums, for example, the breakout rooms, and also the asynchronous component of using discussion forums, discussion threads. And at times I actually ask some of my students to write blogs. And I feel now with this online learning, actually I feel on the contrary to what some of my colleagues feel, I feel more connected to the student community because of this 24/7 environment. And our learning obviously is restricted to 4-5 hours of classes, as mentioned by Professor Debraj. But we are on and all, we are connected to them through discussion threads, through blogs, through wikis, and all other different channels, which had it been a traditional face-to-face classroom, we wouldn't have actually used that. Even if we would have used, maybe not extensively to the extent what we are using now. So yes, there are gains as well as there are losses. As long as we can actually, feel more positive about the gains, we go ahead with that.
So for Dr. Nupur, this is more of a positive thing which has happened rather than a negative thing, thanks to the technology. And somewhere she believes that, yes, it is definitely helping all of us. Moving on to Dr. Debraj.
Yeah, so I would tend to agree with Professor Nupur. So there are some positives of online training. So what are those? So number one, in our school, all our sessions are recorded. Also, in terms of in our class, there are students of different types. Some are very extrovert, some are introvert. So the introvert students don't generally interact. But now with the chat, everybody is interacting. Yeah? So in the class of 60, maybe 40 people can in the physical class, only 1 or 2 people will raise a question or discuss. So that's also when we do some group activity to different groups within the class, and we as profs move from one group to the other, and there's a competition element. Yeah? So students don't want to speak out because other group will hear. But now when there are breakout rooms, we as professors can go in easily from different rooms to room, and they can speak about it, and there is no sort of fear of others knowing about it. Yeah. That if the class and the students do a thumping on the desk, yeah. And that we miss it, because generally, after the class, students will thump, and longer the thumping means the class was good. So those physics are missing, but all they have artificial clapping. So there are technology has done some of the things. Yeah, Dr. Sandeep.
Yeah, perfectly narrated by Nupur as well as Debraj. What I wanted to add again is, as far as the human element is concerned, I mean, we have to look at it from the millennials' point of view and not from our point of view. This whole thing about online. Look, where is the human element in Facebook, or where is the human element as far as Twitter is concerned? So in any case, there are right. So we have to take the advantages which it offers and then go ahead. That's what I would say.
Wow. So yes. So as of now, what I can read is like all the 3 panelists agrees to that probably online teaching is somewhere a positive effect compared to what all of us were thinking that it might be a negative effect. Now let me understand from Dr. Brajesh also what is his viewpoint on this same.
Yeah, while these points are very important, that we have gone a long way in connecting virtually with all the students, but वो जो official, वो जो offline gossip होता है ना, the gossip which happens, right, when we connect with students, we pat their back, right, the reactions which we get in the class, people are feeling sleepy, that is missing, which kept us on right. So I'll say the negative side is like in a 3-hour class, I get exhausted like 8 hours I have worked, right? While in a physical class, right from morning 9 to evening 7 or 8, it was all like we were like the excitement was on. So the other side, by the reactions of the students, the excitement could have gone down also. Here it doesn't go down because we have to keep us alive, right? We don't know whether they are listening or not, so we have to keep on checking by breakout rooms. Yeah, as Nupur told, these are something very good. Get them into. So it has given a chance to reduce our long speeches and get them into breakout rooms regularly. Otherwise 30 minutes, yeah, 15-20 minutes skip. After that, we start feeling whether they are listening or not. So let's connect them. Let's ask them some questions. So pick out, right? So yeah, but I'll say, I more or less, I'll say, yes, we are missing a lot, but still it's a good thing because the future, I look like a blended learning as a very beautiful outcome.
So yes, Dr. Brajesh, probably all agree that somewhere we are missing that human touch in the sense, speaking to people, whether it is a classroom or going outside. Yes, that is 100% missing. But probably this is the future. The blended classroom is obviously going to stay with all of us, and that is going to be there. So moving on to the next.
Just a moment. If I can just add on to what Brajesh said.
Yes, sir.
So one of the beauty of the class is, just before the class or after the class, some students will come to you and ask questions. So then, how do you replicate that in a virtual class? So what, I have started doing, so log in, 10 minutes before the class. And, if they don't have a class, stay back for another 10 minutes and say, those who want to leave can leave. Those who want to stay back and ask questions, ask questions. And sometimes, if they don't have a class, it goes on for half an hour. So you are trying to replicate the real class in a physical world. And that works pretty well because there are some students who have a lot of questions, and some, as soon as it gets over, they want to just run away. So it's a choice with the students. So
wow, so that's a very nice thing put forward, and probably that we are also seeing at our BRATS webinar, wherein few people would always want to talk. I mean, in the sense they would have so many queries in their head, and they would want to understand everything. So yes, agree to that point. And moving on to the next thing, which is like, nowadays we all have been seeing that this online certified courses are taking the world. I mean, I have probably my timeline wherever I go, whether it is LinkedIn or any of my colleagues, I see everybody is doing this online certified course. How well do you think, it is connected with the industry? So what's your take on that? So starting with Dr. Brajesh.
Just let me gather my points and
no problem, sir. Moving. So let me. Yes. So
I'm just
Dr.
thinking about it.
Yeah. So Dr. Nupur would like to share her viewpoints on this.
Yes.
Yeah, these what we call them as MOOCs, massive open online courses, are something which, if we just log on to a LinkedIn, we would just see every half an hour. It seems like a competition, isn't it? Every other person, every other student, even we faculty have enrolled for n number of MOOCs. I would say yes, these MOOCs platform are good. They supplement our classroom teaching, and here comes something called as over and above the classroom teaching. We call them as the asynchronous components. They might be some kind of a small 1 hour or a 2 hour guided project available maybe on a MOOC platform like Coursera, which supplements my teaching, which I cannot do it entirely in my class, but it goes a little beyond my classroom for the interested folks. So I asked my students to actually go to that MOOC platform, do the guided project, and maybe attend it as an auditor. That means it is completely free for them. And people who would like to pay for it and write a small quiz for it, they also, get a certificate. So yes, these MOOC courses have become especially very popular given in these 5-6 months of the pandemic which has happened. And in fact, the government of India, we have also started with our own 4 MOOC platforms called as Swayam, MOOCkit by EDX by IIT Bombay, also. So these are actually courses which have been started by our own Indian professors, Indian universities, and they are good as long as they are supplementing our teaching. I encourage my students to undergo them.
Wow. So the new
Yeah,
definition we all came to know today,
perfect.
which is, and which is definitely helping, and you are encouraging more and more people to take that up. Moving on to Dr. Bridget. Yes.
Yeah, so I was just trying to recall one few things and add to it. In a real time, in physical, right, what we used to observe that students were not doing so many online additional courses they wanted to do, right, unless they were forced or something. But over the period, as Dr. Nupur says, that there is a competition. I have completed this course, I have completed this course, right? What I feel, the employability will take a new turn with these relevant certifications. Okay, and these certifications are going to be like, because in online the employability, the placements, the interviews will take a different shape, and I think the relevant certifications will always add to their strong and robust CV, and as well as the knowledge gap which they feel will be filled. So I think it is going to help in a exponential way rather than addition, I'll say.
Wow. So yes, somewhere even you agree to what Dr. Nupur said. So moving on to Dr. Sandeep, what do you feel about this MOOCs?
Yeah, perfect. I think they have summarized it very well. It is a good supplement to what we do as our regular teaching. I would say MOOCs gives you livelihood, okay, but doesn't give you living. All right. So living comes actually from the education, that the reason that we are there for. Yes, it will give you. In fact, today's news is Google has recruiting those who have got 6 months of certification on MOOCs. So as Brajesh said, even the recruitment will change. Even the companies who are adopting recruiting freshers from campus, that will change. We are moving towards a gig economy, okay, where we really don't know there will be a full employment or not. All right.
True.
But having said all this, I am very sure all of these are helping the faculties as well as the students as a supplement. Sure.
Wow. I mean, that's really a good point to stay, in the sense that yes, somewhere we are also in this environment where we don't know how the employments are going to take place in the future. This might change a lot of things in the future. So moving on to Dr. Debraj to understand his perspective on the same.
Yeah, so if you look at online certificate courses, see, it all depends on which institution and which professor is offering that. Like in offline schools, there are good and bad schools. Like that, in online also there are lot of hoax as well as a lot of good schools. So it's important the source. What is the source of that certification? Also important is a lot of students enroll for them, but the completion rates are very very minimum, because we professors keep on not only teach but we motivate, we sometimes scold, we ask for assignments. So it's a process, and also the fun of peer learning and participating, those things are not totally replicable in the online sort of certificates. So online certificates, I think, would be more important for working professionals where they're already working in some area and they want to supplement the knowledge in a niche area. So I think that's where those will be more useful. I don't see them replacing MBA or a master's in the near term. But it could be for lifelong learning. It could be for some very specific courses. Because all said and done, what the institutes have done over 50, 60, 100 years, develop those curriculum, those ecosystem, the research, which is not possible, in that, you can do one odd subject here and there, but what is the linkage? But it could be, if there is a system that those can build micro credentials, which, over time, I can do one course from Harvard, one from Stanford, and then overall somebody gives me a degree, but those have not yet come in. If those sort of things come in, then maybe there is some, future.
Wow. So
Yeah, just a minute. One addition, Urvi, is that Government of India is now asking institutes to give credits to those doing online courses. Okay, so they can actually swap credits with the online courses from SWAYAM and all these places.
Yeah, so actually my next thing, that's what I got a cue and I wanted to ask about the new policy. But before I move on to that question, there is a question on our YouTube from Meena Sharma. She would like to know, in the sense, the advancement of technology and e-learning. So what do we think, will F2F learning will replace the e-learning and everything?
No way. I don't think so.
Nupur, you want to take?
Nupur, please.
I don't think anything can actually replace a face-to-face, but maybe some subjects like statistics, quantitative techniques, and other things which needs a lot of more practice, hands-on practice, like using an Excel format or using a R or writing a Python program. I feel that that would actually help more on an online platform vis-a-vis a face-to-face, because I have actually seen students replicate the same Excel exercises which we are doing on an online platform, whereas when I used to do the same thing on a F2F platform, I couldn't cover that much. But on an online platform, I feel that I am able to cover more, and students can do that, together with the faculty. So not for everything, it would certainly not replace F2F, but maybe for some subjects online teaching would be
Yeah.
a.
Yeah, so just to add on to what everybody just said, and it was also discussed in our previous question, that yes, it is always going to be a mix of this thing, which is like a blending learning. Probably is the new thing what could come into existence. But yes, F2F learning is always going to stay. So we have one more question on our YouTube, which is from Darshan. Uh, he wants to anything to squeeze out distractions, as we are always connected to people digitally. So like one ping and we get distracted. So yes, anyone would like to highlight or share a viewpoint on that?
I'll share one viewpoint. Now
Yes.
it's a distraction. So it's a competition to distract to our fold. So if I am taking the class, if I am running a course, I will ensure that they are distracted to me, right? They are engaged, involved, engrossed in the activity, so that they want to be here rather than go there. So that's a challenge, and there is no one thing that can get you distracted. There may be so many advices ki meditation karo, ye karo. I don't know, I don't believe ki it is possible. It's like the person who is engaging them can distract, because they are also engaging, na? The WhatsApp groups, the YouTubes, the Arnab Goswami show, whatever, right? They are engaging. So you have to engage. Now it's a challenge, it's a competition. Full out war, I'll say.
Yeah. Urvi, just one more thing is that, see, today what has happened is, because of this remote learning, the responsibility of learning has shifted to the student. Okay.
Yeah.
So now the student has to be now as responsible a learner. So he or she has to be not distracted, keep the phone aside, so on and so forth. So I think that is what will take things further from here.
Yes, so I agree to that, and just adding to that thing, that yes, you cannot get distracted until and unless you want to get distracted. So if the content, it is well enough engaging, I don't think anything can distract you. So yes, moving on to that note, let me understand one more thing. So sir, since we just mentioned about the education policies, and a lot of things are now changing in terms of the whole education process and everything. So I would just want to understand one thing, which is what all we expect in terms of student to learn apart from their regular academics. So like yes, few things we have already covered, that probably the MOOCs can be the supplement things which could be added, but any more further tips which you would like to give on? Yes, Dr. Debraj.
Yeah, so if you look at, there is so many things to learn, and there are only 24 hours. Yeah. So I think, the number one thing is time management. Everybody has to learn time management and to take responsibility for himself or herself. So current affairs is something, which is a must read. Not only Economic Times and, Times of India, but Economist and Financial Times. Listen to one BBC or a CNN news in a day. Also, you need to have a curiosity like a small child. So I have a 7-year-old kid. He every day keeps me asking some difficult questions, which I don't have answers. So we all are curious when we are a kid, but as we go up, we lose that. So we have to keep that curiosity on and keep learning. Also, we have to learn things on attitude. It's not just the knowledge and skills, but the attitude. It's attitude of humility, because the MBAs are, sometimes criticized that they have a nose, high nose when they go to corporate. So they have to have the humility to respect everybody in the organization. They have to, have this can-do attitude. They have to, be ready to dirty their hand. First day you will not become a CEO and direct everybody around. So the attitude of that, first I will work. Once I deserve, then I will, get the position and the remuneration I can get. So those type of attitudes are very important. Also, when they're in college, they should participate in, case competitions, should, pursue their hobbies, because studies is just one aspect of it. And sometimes hobbies can take you where, your studies cannot. Just to give you a very quick, I'm a quizzer, I used to like quizzing a lot. And after my MBA, I joined Tata's. And, I won the Tata Crucible in Pune. So my MD called me, had a lunch with me. So as a young manager, I would have never got that, by just my work or my study. But my hobby got me, that opportunity. So pursue your hobby, whatever be it, apart from your studies. And these days we say, coding, everybody has to know. So not necessarily the language, but the coding logic, because everybody has to be a programmer. Future is all about programming. So not only learning Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, but also the computer languages, if not the language, but the logic of programming. That's very, very important.
Wow.
So that's a little bit from my end.
Wow, that's a very nice thing that yes, the world is about programming, and probably everybody would need to have some what programming is all about. So moving on to Dr. Nupur, what would you like to add on to that?
Yeah, the new education policy, if you ask me, it is laying more stress now on not just the academic, the K+12 or the 10+2 kind of a system, but more of an experiential based kind of a learning. And very impressive to actually look at, points like sports management and storytelling, which are actually being highlighted in the education policy, which the current curriculum, especially till the school level, I don't know, I actually never heard of something called as a course on storytelling, or having a more holistic kind of a development, not at the school level. So I feel it is very progressive and in line with the international the system of actually academics, the K+12 kind of an academics. And yes, we should move from the problem based and understanding based of learning to more experiential kind of learning, which the current education policy is talking about.
Yes, so this is something which is like all about more skill-based programmatic things are going to help us. So yes, moving on to Dr. Brajesh. Yes, Dr. Brajesh, you can add.
I'll just add a small thing. Yes, this policy is actually in need of the hour, right? Where we had been into a race, unknown race, which everybody was running, branded race, competition. Suddenly, this COVID has jolted that, and everybody is now introspecting. And this policy will actually start a new path. Now, second, I would like to add what students can learn, right? Apart from that, which I think we were talking, Professor Debraj Ghosal has added a lot of points. I'd just like to add, since now it is going to be a currently online, future will be a blended. Now, etiquettes on online systems, we all need to learn. We are all learning. I think we attended a webinar a month or so back, along with Dr. Nupur, how to teach on a web online, because we all are new. We were learning how to put our gestures, what should be our hand movements. I think students should also focus on some etiquette, soft skills, voice modulation while speaking, right? How to create an impact on online, because we don't know, unless the video is on, we don't know whether somebody is listening to me or not. right? Because the photographs and the mute signs looks like everybody sleeping. So your voice modulation and everything. So soft skills need to be also addressed in a much larger way because you're not in the class. Now you're at your place talking to a screen, and creating that impact will be a big challenge.
Wow. So that's a very nice thing. Like creating an impact is something very important since we don't know we are in a remote area and all. Dr. Sandeep, what would you like to add on to this?
Yeah, so I would agree. This is a very progressive policy in that sense because it is doing structural changes at the school level. Okay, because until now we always used to get students who have gone through the same process for 15 years, and then they would come to us. By the time we couldn't do much about it. Okay, so we'd always say it is the problem with the colleges. Colleges would say it's problem with the schools. But now this is actually focusing mainly on the schools, and there are many different new ways of learning which is being promoted by this policy. So it is good in that sense. And yes, what additional they need to learn along with the policy, you also have something called universal human values, which is being promoted by the government, and this is a big curriculum of universal human values, which goes along with your academics, and this includes sports, it includes cultural, art, so on and so forth. So yes, it is going to make some positive changes.
Wow. So yes, we all believe probably after 34 years of this new change, which is going to come into our education policies, or is going to bring definitely a change in our right from the school, which is going to focus on skill and then moving on to the college also. So somewhere it is on a positive note. So I would like to ask one last question and then we can open it for Q&A, which is about UIL, that is University Industry Linkage. You know, as per the studies, we are far behind. I mean, in terms of India ranking, I mean, we are far behind in this UIL. So what is your take on is how well institutes can come forward for such kind of in collaborations, So starting from Dr. Sandeep.
Right. So the biggest gap as far as the industry academia linkage is currently the research part. So today, the industry really doesn't believe that institutes can actually throw up good research for them so that they can apply. So what research we do, it gets locked up somewhere in universities and libraries, never gets opened up. So the first and foremost, what is required is a lot of research inputs from the industry to the academia. I think that is what will change. That is what will bring the faculties much closer to the industry. And second thing, I think what faculties should do is they should take internship in industries. I mean, however old we are, the fact is that we get outdated very soon. So apart from students taking internship, I think even the faculties should take internship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, sir, that's a very brilliant perspective in terms of adding to it that probably industry doesn't believe, but somewhere as in faculty we also need to take up some kind of an internship, which is definitely going to help. Moving on to Dr. Debraj, what would you like to add on here?
Yeah, so very interesting. So I can think of from two levels. One at the institute level, what can the institute do, and what some of the progressive institutes are doing. So number one, like in our SPJMR, we recruit a lot of professors with industry experience. So there are, like I came with 13 years industry experience, but I am not the exception. So most of the professors have 20 years, 15 years of industry experience. So that, brings the practicality in the classroom. Also in terms of, there are area boards, where we have very senior industry people whom we meet every 3 or 4 months, and they give very practical suggestions, what needs to be done. Also joint research, as Professor Sandeep said, so we need to do some problem solving for the consulting, problem solving. The more we teach MDPs, corporate training, so that's the way we keep it up to date. And then at the individual professor level, what we need to do is, in terms of, we need to be humble and say we don't know everything. Yeah. We have to keep our ego down and say, hey, we don't know everything about our subject. We need to talk to corporates. We need to talk to alumni. I do a lot of reverse mentoring. Now I'm teaching for 8 years, and I have been teaching some of the students who are elder to me in age because there are a lot of big corporates. So it's two-way learning. So I interact with them. Then there are capstone projects where the professor is a mentor, then there's an industry mentor. So through all of those things, keep on updating and build those linkages. And we are in Mumbai, all of our schools, so we are in a very great situation to do more of this industry, academia, and as Professor Sandeep said, but there is more to do. Dil mange more. There is something, and I think BRATS can help in there, and others can help in, and we could increase all of this aspects.
Wow, so the very well said that probably somewhere, connecting the industry is definitely gonna help. It's a two-way process, as you just explained. I'm quickly moving on to Dr. Nupur for her feedback also.
Yeah, I actually feel both Professor Sandeep and Professor Debraj have covered almost everything about industry and university linkages. Yes, it is a very innovative ecosystem, and we certainly need an industry interface, to bridge the gap. Obviously, we come from the academic environment, although with our own set of corporate experience. But we really need maybe corporate practitioners who are ready practitioners to come and actually, address some specific technical kind of topics to our students, which actually need an industry expert and not as faculty. And moreover, the projects which Professor Sandeep spoke about for students, the life projects would obviously add to their employability. And for faculty per se, I would say maybe some kind of a funded research project or a consultancy project, which again bridges the gap between what the industry demands and how we can groom our students to make them more employable to the industry.
Wow, so that's a very valid two things which you just said, and BRATS actually caters to both of those things. I don't want to really add on to that. Moving on to Dr. Brajesh for your feedback.
I think summing up all these three biggies have already summed up a lot of things. Professor Debraj Ghosal is already into international linkages and all collaborations. I'll just say with this transition of this forced online teaching will give a new way to make the collaborations and industry interactions more robust. Recently I showed an example that we did some training with Nestle employees, Galderma, right, for their skin products, and the employees were all around India, and I felt that yes, they have become more connected with their customers, stakeholders, and we have got more learnings because of this. Otherwise, all these people used to come to our campus, or we used to go to a hotel. They used to be on their phones, right? And I think, I don't know, but I enjoyed the MDP online much more than the physical one, because I could see what I could show, whatever. So a lot of learning which happened, and a lot of things which we got into that with the advent of technology, they are able to connect with their customers in a much better way.
Yeah, actually, in that sense, I would really like to congratulate BRATS, because you have come a neutral third party in this, and you are actually doing a lot of work as far as the connection of academia and industry is concerned.
Right.
You're doing a good job, I think. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And that's the whole motto in terms of for us also to fit in, or rather bridge in that gap in terms of what industry is looking forward from our next generation. So fitting that entirely right thing, we are doing it. So let me move on to one question which is come in the chat box, which is from Adi. He want to know, how can a student be more focused on online course for hours to complete as we enroll more and more courses? Is Adi here? Can we have you? Can we see you?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, panelists. Good evening, sir, ma'am.
Yeah, you can unsubscribe from Netflix and Prime Video, okay? You'll be much more focused on online course.
Yes, sir, because we students, as a student, we enroll much more courses than we think in academic. But to complete those courses, enrollment part is okay. We need to complete the courses to gain the knowledge. So my take is that how can a student be focused? Like if there is a deadline, it's okay that it gives up some push. But we are taking Udemy. Yes, sir, please.
Can I answer your question before you finish
Yes, sir,
your
please.
answer? No need to finish all the courses first of all, right? It's okay, right? First of all, enroll which you really feel is missing in your knowledge book, knowledge basket. Okay, don't enroll for competition that others are enrolling. I should also enroll. Okay, you have enrolled. If you are not liking it, there is no force to complete. At least you have got an initial gain of knowledge. Okay, so move it. If you're not feeling interested, leave it because it's online course, not mandatory. Mandatory courses during an MBA you should complete. Okay, that's what I want to say.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Brajesh, for highlighting that, and Dr. Sandeep for this invaluable comment that yes, we are not in a hurry to complete everything. We should just enroll for something which you really want to do it. Moving on to, there is one more question from Priyanshi. Can you come online, Priyanshi? Can we see you?
Sure. Sir, I have a question. Like, what are your perceptions about placements in COVID and post-COVID?
So yes,
Debraj,
Dr.
Debraj wants to take it.
Yeah.
It's $1 million question.
Literally.
So what I would say is, in terms of, placements, so, we just, completed in SPJMR our autumn, we have autumn internship. So just a week back we completed, and, we were also apprehensive what will happen. But all our students got placed for the internship. This is not the final placement because the previous batch had already placed before the lockdown. Yeah. So this was the first case where we had all the interviews online, and only thing what happened was more companies came in because each company was hiring less number of people. And again, what will happen in this world is companies may reduce their recruitment, but they will not stop it. So now it's up to the students that you have to be in the top tier, in the top bracket, that you are the ones who will get the placement. So that hunger has to be more. If you're earlier working 12 hours a day, now you need to work 16 hours a day and work smart. And there's always a shortage of good talent for the companies. Because when I used to work in the companies, we're always looking for people and we're not getting them. So there's that's also a fact. But it's a tough time, no doubt about it. And you have to doubly prepare yourself and do everything what you can. And networking is very important. So apart from knowledge, networking with your peers, with your corporate people who come to your campus, with the professors, it's important. Networking is the key. And Suresh is the king of networking. So he can tell you a lot about it.
Yeah. One advice I would like to give to all the students, okay, who are attending this is that, see, the way things are going, all of you should now be prepared for deep learning, okay, and not wide learning. Okay, you need to go deep into whatever area or whatever domain you have chosen for yourself, and that is what will be the demand from the industry. All right. So the days of generalists are practically over now. Okay, you need to have very deep knowledge about a niche area that you are good at, and that is where you will get picked up faster.
Yes, sir. Sure.
I just wanted to quickly add one more thing. Yes, deep learning and networking, and something also to add to it is about industry analysis. We know that right now, because of the pandemic situation, which are the impacted industries and which industries are really like recession proof, doing well, which are the industries more conducive to online kind of work from home kind of work, which encourages work from home. So maybe a bit of research upon the industry analysis, which industries right now are more conducive to this work from home, which industries are recession proof during this pandemic situation. Even that goes hand in hand with your current focus of deep learning and your networking skills.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Wow. So a very,
Can I ask one question, please?
Yeah, 1 second. I'll just add on to that, and then so a very positive thing which came in terms of how the industry placements are going to take place. Probably because of COVID, there are more industry who are coming to the campuses for the recruitments and everything. And deep learning is the key. So all you guys, whoever are listening, please do a deep learning and a research on the same. Yes, Suresh, you can please ask the question what you want to. Can we see you?
Is there?
Very much there.
Yeah.
I'm audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening to all the panelists, and special thanks to Nupur, who actually initiated this and got support from all the panelists. And thank you very much for your time and your inputs, and patiently you're answering all the questions. I really love the Brajesh's sense of humor. I really appreciate that. First thing, I wanted to actually start with Mr. Sandeep. Dr. Sandeep ji, you have actually mentioned about the kind of research what you're bringing, which is actually getting locked inside your institutions. That is so true. And you also said there's certain kind of funding can actually help towards the research, whatever institutions are doing. That is actually which is my concern also. And Mr. Debraj said. The courses should not be replacing the college which is offering, because they've already built about such long time, and that should not be replaced online. I strongly believe in that. Certainly when I am interacting last 25 to 30 years, I'm working with industry, and I do intellectual properties to gather all the top-notch executives who are also part of some of the institutes who came from. So now what we are talking is completely, how to build up this. If you might be heard of recent developments, which is IIT Madras collaborated with Rolls-Royce for complete R&D, the global wide. And Indian government actually, investing nearly about 400 crores with IIT Roorkee, and there is one more IIT. Such kind of things are happening. So when we are building up this, BRATS, so such the great feedback which has come from in industry, about the placements, about their expectations towards students, I would like to share with you. Then I would like to know what you think of. They want quality, of course, because from the day one, they want to recruit from across India. They want a quality in the system, So they said if it is a long-term relationship, which is actually anyway, the faculties are actually doing the great job. But if we can, routing through some of the long-term relationship, kind of, which is actually monitoring students for a year, then that will actually help them to recruit the better way, not to just depending on the any recruitment agencies or last moment 10 minutes interview or 20 minutes interview. So they believe that the long-term relationship should be happening, and if that comes as an idea, not to replace any kind of MBAs or something like that, but how to do this and how open institutes would be for certain kind of a gathering, because every university wants their kids to be placed in the right places, and now they should be making good salaries, and students also wants the same thing. So how you see a relationship between the industry and institution for the long-term basis? Yes, as Nupur said, live projects, that is what we are doing. Last week only we have done case study competition with SRM, and we're planning with several other institutes like Symbiosis in Hyderabad and several others, so which we cannot do it. But we would like to know how universities also, open to such kind of things. That's my question. Sorry to take a little longer.
No, I think that was good that you have explained and exact what the industry is thinking and what exactly you want to be a bridge and a robust bridge, I'll say. I would say, yes, live projects and all these things happen. One important thing which I would like to add here is like, which BRATS can think of, like not individual students, that is fine, that's a one part thing to connect with them, but some group activities, long-term activities, like I'll share one example, right? Educating people for a particular topic in a particular area or at a particular segment, like in village or something, right? Maybe for digital banking, right? A team is doing some work attached to some maybe with you or some entity, right? Which is being supported, or you can say sponsored by some industry, and of course indirectly they are promoting their products also. So it can be one of the addition which can happen, wherein not only individual students connect to you and incorporates in projects or something, as a group also works, where you can understand who are the leaders, who are active contributors. So that also can be monitored and looked upon.
You want me to go, Suresh, for a second?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's already 5
So
minutes.
we are all, everybody's struggling with this question, but then for last few years we have actually found a new model, okay, and this has happened with one company, and we are very very grateful to this company, and we are doing very good in that sense. Is what we have done is instead of our students going to the organization and getting further trained, the company comes to us, all right, and the last 6 months they take about 30 to 35 hours. Sometimes their faculties come and their managers come and teach our students. So what happens is there's a blending happening right under our roof. It's the corporates who are actually taking interest in our students. They come and take that subject with us, and then they those who opt for it, they recruit them also. So this has really worked very well. It's a multinational company, and we are very proud to be associated with them.
So it's a good one, because the brands what I'm talking about is banks or BFSI or maybe tech companies or maybe fintech. There are a lot of companies which I am in touch with personally, which we do consultation for. So these guys want to do such kind of alliances. These guys want to do such kind of streaming with institutes to bring the best of quality in the system. And of course, once we also building up a lot of formats, I'm sure we would like to bring it to you and take your inputs also. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Suresh, for that question. Moving on to, okay, wow, we already haven't replied. There was one question on YouTube from Gulshan. He wanted to know how can we make online teaching more learner focused, and Dr. Brajesh have already replied to him. I hope that, so I would just, quickly read it through. Making engagement more interesting and result in meaningful learning outcomes. Institutes and faculty have that onus. So I hope, Gulshan, this answers your question. Is there any more question, guys? We can take one last question and then we can sum up this session. Anyone from this? Yes, Shubham, can we see you? Shubham?
Adding to that, Professor Debraj also mentioned how to make it more engagement and interesting by getting into class before. That's a very important point. So it's our, we have to work hard, right? It's, yes, students have to cooperate, but I think we have to work hard.
Thank you. Shubham, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Quickly, can we hear you?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. A very good evening to all the professors. It has been a lovely session till now because I have got to know what professors have been putting up and how they were putting all their efforts even when it was new to them as well. Because we used to, as a student, how much you all have been putting effort so that we could gain a proper learning. So thanks a lot for that. And sir, the question was, as we all know that due to COVID and increase in online learning, every student is more focused on learning more, getting certificates, getting new skills. But while doing that, because this has given rise to a competition of just getting more and more skills. And due to this, many of the students must feel pressurized because at some point they would realize that, okay, we are lacking in few skills and we could have gone for some other skills. So what students should do right now, where they should put stop, or where they should feel, okay, we are satisfied and we should just go with the skill. Because I think there are so many steps which so many skills that they would like to include. So I would just want your suggestions.
Yeah, so maybe I can take, so very interesting question. So everybody goes through, you are not alone through this. So we have, when we were also younger, we also went through the same thing. So what I would say is, it's all about your passion, your interest. So just follow, what you are interested in. Don't follow what your peers are doing. No peer pressure, no FOMO. It's all about, it's about you, what you like, and you go deep in that. What Professor Sandeep said. So don't try to do many things. Take few things and what you are enjoying, what you are interested in, and you will thrive. It will take time, maybe. You have to put in a few years of hard work. But once you're interested in something and you follow that like a bull, Arjun ka teer, like that, you look at it and you would exceed in that space. So don't think about mera neighbor kya kar raha hai, mera boyfriend kya kar raha hai, girlfriend kya kar raha hai. Don't think about that. You just focus on yourself. Don't also focus what your father or mother is saying. So this is a little controversial. It's about your own career. So don't just believe in what they are saying. So it's your career, it's your life. So you need to do what you want to like, and you will succeed. That's my take on it.
I would also, Shubham, like
that really adds up to yes, ma'am.
See, I know it has been already asked, and there is a lot of fear of missing out, the FOMO syndrome. I would also say we are all amassing, certificates, students, but how well are you utilizing them? How many of you have actually gone ahead and published some kind of a work or an article or, a research based upon the certificate courses which you have done? Who is stopping you? LinkedIn is a forum, Instagram is a forum, so many other social medias are a forum. Now is the time to actually showcase the skills which you have learned from these online courses. Do an independent research, get it published on social media. You don't even need any rights. You make it viral. If you really have a passion for that, you post it, you make a small podcast of whatever you have learned and publish it. So application of the skills is also very important, not just amassing the certificates.
So
Thanks a
well
lot,
said.
Nupur ma'am. It has really given me the ideas how to showcase my skills. And Debraj sir, it has been a really good talk. That point you have made has really added up to my confidence. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah.
That's a too good one, Nupur. That's a too good one. I am really inspired with the idea. And we also planning such kind of things to publish their individual researches in ebook. That's what we're planning to. So that's a really inspiring, because a lot of certificates, but they really don't know what they're doing with. Thanks for this input. Thank you so much.
Also, Dr. Brajesh just added one more thing, like enjoy the journey. And I think that's very, very important, Shubham, enjoy the journey rather than what you're gonna, achieve at the end. So yes, so I'm just like winding up. Thank you, Shubham, for asking that one last question. And thank you to all my wonderful, panelists who have been here patiently patiently replying to my, one questions, giving us so much of in-depth knowledge in terms of, for even the faculty, it was very difficult to put forward the new edtech thing just happened, and maximizing on that. So even faculty somewhere learning, even students are learning, and that's how the entire mix is happening to put forward to a next gen. So from the so today's takeaway from the whole session is like, mix or a blending learning is obviously going to stay. EdTech is the next future for all of us. And BRATS as in platform, we are here to help you guys. So please subscribe to all our channels. If there are any more questions, I would request all of you to drop in any of our social media platform. We can get it answered from all the panelists, whoever is present here. Thank you so much. Signing off for today. This is Urvi Vira, navigator for BRATS. Bye.
Thank you for
Bye.
having us here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye. Wonderful. Bye.